Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Britt makes a drunken mistake, warrant issued for Sidwell's arrest. Sidwell's next move and Sonny's battle against a new foe takes center stage in Port Charles as chaos erupts on every front, and nothing, not the law, not loyalty, and certainly not fear, will stop the storm that's building. Britt Westbourne, already shaken by recent events, spirals even further after a night of heavy drinking. Overwhelmed by guilt, fear, and a dangerous mix of desperation and recklessness, she stumbles into a truth she never meant to expose. In her intoxicated state, Britt lets slip crucial information linking Jen Sidwell to the Dalton incident, a detail that immediately catches the attention of authorities. Those few slurred words are enough to set off a chain reaction, and by dawn, a warrant for Sidwell's arrest is issued. But while Britt tries to sober up and comprehend the severity of what she's done, Sidwell is already miles ahead in his thinking. For a man like Sidwell, panic is never an option. Instead, he turns Britt's drunken confession into fuel for his next ruthless move. He's furious, cornered, and more determined than ever to regain control, especially after the devastating blow of losing the Measure C vote. That loss wasn't just a political failure, it was a direct hit on Sidwell's ambition to take control of Sonny Corinthos' peers. To Sidwell, Measure C represented power, leverage, and access, and the voters' rejection felt like a personal insult. But Sidwell isn't the kind of man who accepts defeat. As Ava Jerome recently discovered firsthand, he's calculating, patient, and chillingly creative when it comes to revenge. And now, with a warrant looming and Britt's slip-up threatening to unravel his operation, Sidwell pivots sharply, ready to exploit every angle that remains available to him. He knows the walls are closing in, but he also knows that a cornered man can be the most dangerous enemy of all. Fans of GH understand that Sidwell is not just a nuisance, he's a long-game strategist, a figure who uses his intelligence as his weapon of choice. His bold actions over the last few weeks have proven he's willing to cross every line. From manipulating Laura Collins to orchestrating chaos around Sonny, Sidwell has been executing a silent war against the entire Corinthos circle. One of his boldest, most chilling moves was dealing with Professor Henry Hank Dalton. Once Dalton became a liability, Sidwell eliminated the problem at the source. But he didn't stop there. In a move that shocked fans, he placed Dalton's body in Laura's trunk, not only disposing of evidence but purposely dragging the mayor of Port Charles into his web. Sidwell knew exactly what Laura would do the moment she discovered the body. He counted on her panic. He counted on her reaching out to Sonny. It was a masterstroke meant to create tension, confusion, and distrust between two of the most powerful figures in town. And it worked. Laura's reaction played right into his hands, proving once again that Sidwell doesn't just anticipate his opponent's moves, he orchestrates them. Now, with the December 4th episode approaching, Sidwell is poised to stake his claim once more. The spoilers indicate that this time, he won't just send a message, he'll expose the darkest side of his ambition. Viewers should brace themselves for a moment where Sidwell asserts his dominance in a way that leaves the entire town reeling. And on December 5th, his actions will push Sonny into a corner he never wanted to be in. Sonny Corinthos is a man who thrives under pressure, but he also knows when danger crosses into unpredictable territory. Sidwell's next move promises to do exactly that. Whatever Sidwell discovers, whatever advantage he gains, is enough to make Sonny feel threatened, pressured, and forced to consider options that he'd prefer to avoid. All signs point to Sidwell making a play for the peers yet again, possibly using the new chaos stirred up by Britt's confession to weaken Sonny's position. Sidwell believes he can manipulate the law, public opinion, and even Sonny's allies into turning against him. But what Sidwell doesn't fully understand is that pushing Sonny too far can lead to consequences even he may not be prepared for. Sonny is stubborn, unyielding, and notorious for destroying anyone who threatens his empire. Sidwell may be clever, but he is poking a king in his own kingdom. If Sidwell goes too far, and it looks like he's about to, Sonny may be forced to unleash a side of himself he's kept controlled for years. And Sonny is not above considering the ultimate solution, eliminating Sidwell permanently. Even if Sonny sees this as a last resort, the possibility is there, and Sidwell is marching straight toward that danger without hesitation. His involvement in the attack on Rocco Falconeri at the juvenile detention center proves Sidwell has no moral boundaries. He's not afraid to target Sonny's family, or Laura's, to get what he wants. That attack, chilling and calculated, was meant to send a message. Sidwell is not intimidated by the Corinthos name, not frightened by the Falconeri connection, and certainly not concerned about who gets hurt in the crossfire. This makes him one of the most dangerous villains Sonny has faced in years. Now the question becomes, how far will Sidwell go? Will he escalate his war by targeting Rocco again? Will his schemes force Laura deeper into the Dalton cover-up, risking her career, her reputation, and her sanity? With the police circling him after Britt's drunken mistake, Sidwell may decide he has nothing left to lose. And that's when he's at his most unpredictable. Britt herself will soon realize the magnitude of what she's unleashed. Her accidental confession has triggered a domino effect that could destroy the fragile balance in Port Charles. Britt may find herself becoming Sidwell's next target, or Sonny's next liability. And if she tries to walk back her drunken words, it may already be too late. Meanwhile, Sonny is preparing for the fight of his life. He's been cornered before, but something about Sidwell feels different. Sidwell doesn't want to wound Sonny, he wants to dismantle him. He wants his peers, his influence, and his power. And the closer he gets, the more desperate Sonny becomes. Spoilers warn that Sonny will soon feel trapped, boxed in by Sidwell's manipulation, lies, and relentless plotting. With threats escalating and no clear safe move, Sonny may be forced into decisions he never imagined making again. But one thing remains certain, Sonny Corinthos never stays down for long. Once he identifies Sidwell's weak point, and he always finds the weak point, Sidwell will discover that pushing Sonny only leads to one outcome: Sonny pushes back harder. As the story unfolds, fans can expect twists, shocking confrontations, and the kind of explosive drama that defines General Hospital at its best. Sidwell's rise, Britt's mistake, Laura's turmoil, and Sonny's mounting fury are all colliding at full speed. Someone is going to break. Someone is going to fall. And when the dust settles, Port Charles will never be the same again. Sidwell's battle for dominance in Port Charles intensifies with every passing hour, and the ripple effect of Britt's drunken confession begins tearing at the seams of alliances, secrets, and loyalties throughout the town. Britt herself is trapped between fear and denial, wrestling with the possibility that she may have just triggered the downfall of one of the most dangerous men to ever set foot in Port Charles. The moment she realizes that her drunken rant has led to a warrant for Sidwell's arrest, panic sets in. If Sidwell finds out she was the source of the slip, she knows her life could be in danger. Britt has made mistakes before, some small, some catastrophic, but nothing like this. This wasn't just a moment of weakness, it was a spark thrown into a forest already primed to burn. As she tries to piece together the blurred memory of every word she said, she flashes back to Sidwell's cold, calculating stare the last time their paths crossed. She knows he doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. And he certainly doesn't tolerate betrayal. Her drunken mistake could very well become a death sentence if she's not careful. Meanwhile, Sidwell becomes aware of the warrant before the authorities even make their move. His network runs deeper than anyone guessed, with eyes and ears stationed in places no one would ever suspect. The moment the police file is generated, Sidwell's phone buzzes with the notification, and a calm, predatory smile spreads across his face. He isn't frightened. He isn't even surprised. Instead, he interprets the warrant as confirmation that his enemies are starting to break formation, scrambling under the pressure he's been building. To him, this is proof that his strategy is working. Power, he believes, doesn't come from winning openly, it comes from destabilizing opponents until they're forced to reveal their weakest points. And Sonny Corinthos, despite his forged strength, is showing cracks. Sidwell sees Sonny's worry for his family, for the peers, for the political fallout, and he recognizes something he can weaponize: vulnerability. Sidwell has no intention of running from the warrant. That's what an amateur would do. Instead, he plans to twist its existence into leverage. If he plays this correctly, He can force Sunny further into the shadows, undermine Laura's credibility, and shift public opinion in ways that give him a new path toward the very power he lost when Measure C failed. And the failure of Measure C weighs heavily on Sidwell. Not as a defeat, but as an insult. He poured money, influence, connections, and intimidation into that initiative, all designed to grant him legal access to the peers. He envisioned a future where Sunny would be forced to play defense while Sidwell expanded his empire openly, backed by the law itself. But the voters refused to hand him that power. They robbed him of his shortcut. Worse, Sunny celebrated the win, which only added fuel to Sidwell's rage. Losing the Measure C vote became a personal humiliation, one Sidwell is determined to avenge. That vote may have shut the front door to the peers, but Sidwell has already found several side entrances. And every one of those entrances brings him closer not only to Sunny's business interests, but also to Sunny's inner circle. Sidwell knows that to dismantle Sunny, he must dismantle the people around him first. Laura Collins remains a prime target, not because she's weak, but because she's strong. Sidwell recognizes Laura's moral code as both her greatest asset and her greatest liability. By placing Dalton's body in her trunk, he created a moral crisis inside her, the kind that puts tremendous pressure on someone who has spent her life fighting for justice and truth. Their positions have flipped entirely. Laura now finds herself hiding a body to protect the greater good, while Sidwell uses her honesty against her. Sidwell loves irony, especially irony that destroys the reputations of the righteous. With every passing day that Laura remains silent about Dalton, she becomes more entangled in Sidwell's trap. And Sidwell is counting on that. Because once the truth comes out, and it always does, Laura will fall from grace in a public, humiliating way. Sidwell's only frustration is that he hasn't yet decided whether to expose her himself or let Sunny do it unintentionally once Sidwell manipulates him into a corner. Sunny, on the other hand, senses the tension building around Laura, but he's too distracted by Sidwell's movements to fully process it. Sunny's instincts are on overdrive. Every signal, every whisper, every strange coincidence screams one thing: Sidwell is planning something big. The problem is Sunny doesn't know what that big is. And Sidwell knows Sunny hates the unknown. It leaves him restless, it makes him unpredictable, and it stirs up the version of Sunny that so many have tried, and failed, to contain. Sidwell is purposely pushing him into a corner, tightening the walls inch by inch until Sunny has no breathing room left. And the moment Sunny loses his sense of control, Sidwell intends to strike. He wants Sunny to lash out, to make a mistake, to cross a line that Sidwell can then exploit. This is a psychological war, and Sidwell is fighting it with chilling precision. Yet Sunny is no stranger to psychological warfare. He survived rival mob bosses, law enforcement takedowns, betrayals, internal wars, and even the darkest moments of his own mental health struggles. He's learned that power is not about brute force alone, it's about anticipation, strategy, and protecting the people who matter most. And that's what makes Sidwell such a threat. Sidwell isn't just targeting Sunny's business, he's targeting Sunny's family. He already proved his ruthlessness when he orchestrated the attack on Rocco Falconeri at the Juvenile Detention Center. That attack didn't just injure a child, it pierced the soul of the Corinthos Falconeri family. And Sidwell knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted Sunny emotional, not rational. He wanted Dante furious. He wanted Laura traumatized. He wanted cracks in the foundation of the Corinthos circle. But the attack on Rocco had an unintended side effect: it awakened the protector in Sunny. The kind of protector who doesn't rest, who doesn't negotiate, who doesn't show mercy. If Sidwell thought that targeting a child would weaken Sunny's resolve, he miscalculated. He's not weakening Sunny. He's driving him toward a version of himself that Port Charles hasn't seen in years. Meanwhile, Ava Jerome observes Sidwell's war from the sidelines, torn between curiosity and fear. The last time she underestimated a man like Sidwell, she paid dearly. And the look Sidwell gave her when she tried to take control of their conversation still sends a chill down her spine. Sidwell doesn't view Ava as an enemy or an ally, he views her as a variable. Useful if controlled, dangerous if ignored. Ava knows that inserting herself further into Sidwell's business could get her killed, yet she also knows that stepping away entirely could leave her vulnerable to the collateral damage Sidwell intends to inflict. She finds herself contemplating a dangerous question: should she warn Sunny about Sidwell's growing rage, or should she stay silent and protect herself? Ava's decision may become a defining moment in the war between Sidwell and Sunny, but for now, she remains on the edge, watching every move, calculating her own risks. Back at the PCPD, the warrant for Sidwell becomes a point of tension. Some officers are eager to bring Sidwell in, believing that a man with his influence needs to be stopped before he escalates. Others fear what will happen once Sidwell realizes the law is after him. The department is still reeling from the Dalton cover-up scandal involving Laura. If that truth comes out, it could destroy careers and confidence in the entire office. The last thing they want is another scandal involving Sidwell. But the warrant is out there now, and with Britt's statement on record, there's no turning back. What the PCPD doesn't know is that Sidwell already has a counterattack planned. And it begins with one crucial question: who betrayed him? Sidwell launches a quiet investigation of his own, interrogating his people, analyzing his communications, and studying recent events with surgical precision. It doesn't take him long to realize the weak link was Britt Westbourne. And once Sidwell identifies the leak, Britt becomes his next target, not for elimination, but for manipulation. Sidwell wants her to feel the pressure. He wants her to panic. He wants her to be so terrified that she becomes a puppet he can control. Britt, unaware that Sidwell is closing in on her, seeks comfort in the last place she should: old friendships. She debates telling Maxie the truth, or even turning herself in to the PCPD to lessen the fallout. But Britt is a survivor. She's made a life out of escaping consequences, outsmarting danger, and staying one step ahead. She convinces herself that the best option is to hide, regroup, and think. But as she isolates herself, her fear grows. And fear is exactly what Sidwell is counting on. He's banking on Britt making another mistake, one that leads him straight to the leverage he needs. In the shadows of Port Charles, alliances are shifting. Old friendships are being tested. Secrets are becoming weapons. And at the center of it all stands Sidwell, powerful, calculating, and more dangerous than ever. Sunny can feel the shift in the air. He can sense the war approaching. And he knows that this isn't just a battle for control of the peers, this is a battle for the future of his family, his legacy, and the stability of Port Charles itself. Sidwell wants power. Sunny wants justice. And the collision between them is becoming inevitable. When it happens, someone will fall. Someone will bleed. Someone will lose everything. Because Sidwell is not a villain who fades quietly into the night. And Sunny is not a king who surrenders his crown. Port Charles is heading toward a showdown unlike anything it has seen in years, and the outcome will leave scars on everyone involved. As the tension in Port Charles escalates, every character feels the pressure of Sidwell's machinations. Britt, still reeling from her drunken mistake, begins to understand just how dangerous the man she inadvertently exposed truly is. She knows that any misstep could result in catastrophic consequences, not just for her, but for everyone she cares about. Sidwell thrives on chaos, and the slightest hint of vulnerability is enough for him to strike. Meanwhile, Sunny braces himself for the inevitable confrontation, aware that Sidwell's cunning makes him a formidable adversary. Sunny's mind races, weighing every possible move, every potential ally, and every looming threat. The peers, his family, and his very reputation are all at risk, and he knows that Sidwell will stop at nothing to bend him to his will. Sidwell, for his part, enjoys the psychological warfare, savoring the way fear spreads like wildfire. Every slip Britt makes, every hesitation Sunny shows, feeds into his plan. He's not just fighting for control, he's orchestrating a spectacle of power, designed to unsettle, manipulate, and ultimately dominate. Laura Collins, caught in the crossfire, faces mounting pressure as she juggles secrets, moral dilemmas, and the safety of those she loves. The ripple effects of Sidwell's actions are far-reaching, leaving the entire Corinthos world on edge. As the drama hurtles toward its next explosive moments, one thing becomes clear: no one in Port Charles is safe from Sidwell's reach. His intelligence, ruthlessness, and audacity make him a foe unlike any Sonny has faced before, and Britt's mistake has only accelerated the pace of the impending storm. Every decision, every reaction, every misstep could tip the balance, and when Sidwell and Sonny finally collide, Port Charles will bear witness to a showdown that could change the city forever.